Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 6th of September 2023. In today's newspaper discussion, we are going to cover these articles that are listed in the screen now. Okay, so there are in all 12 articles that we are going to discuss in today's discussion. So the first topic is related to conservation of forest. This is related to environment and ecology. So it says laws governing forest of the Northeast. Okay, so this topic has been written by the author to talk about those laws that govern the, let's say, forests and land resources in the Northeast India, and how those laws are different from the laws that are made by the Parliament of India. Okay, so name of the topic is laws governing forests of the Northeast. Laws governing forests of the Northeast. So through this article, we will understand about various things. What are the things that we are going to understand? Number one, we are going to understand the Forest Conservation Act. Okay, we are going to understand about the Forest Conservation Act of 2023. So means recently the government of India has amended the Forest Conservation Act, and they have, after doing the amendment, so they have brought some changes into it. So now it is known as Forest Conservation Act. Means now the central government has named this particular act as one Sanrakshan. Okay, Sanrakshan evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam. Samvardhan Adhiniyam. (2023) means they have, let's say, done an amendment to the Forest Conservation Act, right? And after doing the amendment, they have renamed the act also. It is like one Sanrakshan evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam. So with reference to this, I mean, some state governments have taken some action. So we are going to understand about that. And apart from this, we are also going to understand about another act which is known as the Forest Rights Act. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the Forest Rights Act as well. Okay, we are going to discuss about Forest Rights Act. Then third thing that we are going to discuss is the scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers. Okay, the scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers. Okay, traditional forest dwellers, recognition of Forest Rights Act. Okay, recognition of Forest Rights Act, this is known as this thing. Okay, recognition of Forest Rights Act. Okay, basically this Forest Rights Act, this is the, let's say, full form of this particular act itself. Okay, the thing that we say Forest Rights Act, this is the complete name of this. Okay, so this act is of 2006. Okay, Forest Rights Act 2006. In short, it is known as Forest Rights Act. The scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers, recognition of Forest Rights Act. Apart from this, we are going to discuss about some other important thing, which is the Forest Conservation Act. Okay, so this Forest Conservation Act was actually 1980 Act. There was an amendment by the Parliament recently, and after that amendment, they have renamed that act to be this thing, One Sanrakshan evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam. Means forest, Sanrakshan means conservation, evam means and, Samvardhan means amalgamation. Okay, okay, means like amalgamation or like like increasing this particular thing. So it says forest conservation and amalgamation adhiniyam means act 2023. So these are the acts that we are going to discuss. Apart from this, we are going to discuss about some constitutional let's say provisions related to northeastern states. Okay, so there are few articles in the Constitution of India. So what are the articles that we are going to look into? One of the article is article 200 like 371A and 371G. Okay, article 371A and second article like article 371G. This one is related to Mizoram and the first one is related to Nagaland. So let's discuss about this. So what has happened like in today's article, they have discussed about, right, in this article they have talked about the laws governing forest of the northeast. Okay, so for northeastern India, like earlier most of the states were part of Assam itself. Later on some of the states were converted into union territory and after then it was given the statehood, right? And some of the states got, let's say like it got bifurcated from Assam. So like to protect the rights of those states, there are provisions that were made in the Constitution of India. One of the provision is related to article 371A. It gives a special provision to Nagaland, and then article 371G, it gives a special provision to Mizoram. A special provision in the sense like it talks about that like none of the act or laws that are made by the parliament will apply to the state of Nagaland, right? Like that contravenes with the customary law of the Naga people, right? So it protects the rights of the Naga people and also it protects the rights of Mizo people. Mizo means people who stay in Mizoram. So they talk about the customary rules, customary laws of Mizo people will be protected, okay? And the natural resources, the land resources belong to the like Mizo people. So they say this particular thing. So recently the government of India, the central government of India has amended the Forest Conservation Act of 1980. And this Forest Conservation Act, after amending, it has become Van Sanrakshan Evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam 2023. What are the changes of this particular act, which is like I will write in short one act. One means Van Sanrakshan Evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam. Okay, so what are the things? One of the thing is like it, let's say like talks for that like all those forests that are notified in government records, they will be considered as forest. Okay, they will be considered as forest. Second thing, it also allows for doing some kind of developmental activity or tourism activity in, right, forested areas. So it allows for some tourism and other recreational activities. Okay, recreational activities where recreational activities in forest areas. Okay, forested areas. Then third, it also exempts, okay, it exempts up to 100 kilometer, okay, 100 kilometer from international boundary, okay, from international boundary. I mean like for application of this particular act, which is one act, means let's say like government of India wants to make any linear project in the sense it wants to develop a road infrastructure, which lies within the boundary of 100 kilometer from the international borders of India. There this particular law will not be applicable. So government of India can go for, let's say, establishing any infrastructure projects in those areas, okay, which are linear infrastructure projects. Okay, they can go for this particular thing. So people have criticized the central government related to this. They say like although the name is Van Sanrakshan, means like forest conservation, however in actual sense it leads to deforestation. It leads to, let's say like taking away the conservation from the forest. But soon after the government of India has passed this particular thing, recently the Mizoram, okay, Mizoram, like in their state legislative assembly, they have passed a resolution, and that is a unanimous resolution. Through that resolution, they have declared that this Forest Conservation Act, the amended Forest Conservation Act, will not be applicable in the state of Mizoram. Now, if we talk about what is the, let's say, like total forest area in the state of Mizoram, to understand about total forest area, we need to be aware about one thing, that like, there is something which is known as the status of forest report. Okay, so status of forest report. Status of forest report. So this status of forest report is published biannually. Okay, biannually or biennially means it is published every 2 years. It is published every 2 years. By which organization? By the Forest Survey of India. Okay, by the Forest Survey of India. So Forest Survey of India publishes this particular report. It comes under the Ministry of Forest, Environment and Climate Change. Okay, so this publishes this report that talks about what is the total status of forest conservation, like what proportion of India is under forest, what proportion is not under forest. And it also talks about classification of forest. It also talks about like which state has more forest, which state has less forest. So as of now, 24% of the total geographical area is under forest cover. Okay, so that's the thing. However, if we talk about northeastern state, in northeastern states, like in the state of Mizoram, Nagaland and all, so they have huge amount of their area under forest cover. One of the state in northeast has, let's say, 87% of its area under forest cover. Other state has more than 50% under forest cover. So most of these areas are notified forest. However, there is one state where like it is not notified, however they are under forest cover. Okay, so they were also under protection. However, recently, since the government of India has passed this particular thing, those things are now vulnerable, because those areas can be diverted for non-forestry purposes, because it says that like all those forest areas that are notified under government records, whether central government records or state government records, they will only be classified as forest. Otherwise, all other will be considered as non-forest, and they can be diverted for, let's say, other purposes. But the thing is, Supreme Court of India had given a judgment. Okay, Supreme Court of India had given a judgment related to forest conservation in the year of 1996. Okay, in 1996, the Supreme Court of India has given a judgment. Okay, Supreme Court judgment in 1996. What is the name of the judgment? This is known as Thirumalpad. Okay, Thirumalpad Godavarman case. Thirumalpad Godavarman case, and Thirumalpad Godavarman case in the year of 1996. So in that particular judgment, the Supreme Court of India had, okay, it had expanded means increased, okay, expanded the definition of forest. Okay, it has expanded the definition of forest. So according to the Supreme Court of India, they say that all those areas that are under government records, they will be considered as forest. Apart from this, all those areas that meet the dictionary definition of forest, they will also be considered as forest, and they will also be protected under forest, let's say, like forest acts. So like this particular judgment of the Supreme Court of India is considered, this particular judgment is considered to be one of the wide ranging judgment, and this judgment has, let's say, like increased the forest conservation. It has increased the forest conservation measures. Okay, forest conservation measures in India. That's the thing, it has increased. However, the Van Sanrakshan Evam Sambardhan Adhiniyam, means the amended Forest Conservation Act, it seeks to dilute this particular judgment of the Supreme Court of India. Okay, so the act that the government of India has come up with, which is like amended Forest Conservation Act in 2023, it dilutes this particular judgment. And however, now if we talk about these articles actually talk about the customary law of the state of Nagaland and Mizoram. So like, you know, their customary law will prevail, like according to these articles, their customary laws will prevail over the laws that are made by the parliament related to this thing. And also there are many instances, I mean, like in this article they have mentioned that like initially the government had notified that, like, you know, the Forest Conservation Act will be applicable. Later on they have revoked themselves. Again they have said it will be applicable. Now they are in the state of Mizoram, so they have something which is known as land resources. So under land resources they also classify forest as part of land resources. However, the government said, like, you know, land resources and forest resources are separate, so this Forest Conservation Act should be applicable there. So now, since the, I mean, like, you know, Mizoram state, it has passed a resolution, so this resolution will prevail because like they have the constitutional validity of this particular thing. Article 371G of the Constitution of India. Okay, so that's the thing. So in this article they have talked about what are the laws that govern the forest of the northeast. Okay, so this is the thing. So special constitutional protection such as Article 371A of Nagaland, 371G of Mizoram prohibit the application of any law enacted by parliament that impinges on the Naga and Mizo customary law and procedure and ownership and transfer of land and its resources. Okay, so these are the things. Means, like, you know, these articles actually protects the right of the Naga and Mizo people over the land resources and over the resources in Nagaland and Mizoram. Okay, so this is the thing. So these two articles, these articles may become like future 370 kind of articles, right? I mean, like, we can see that tendency now. Now with this, like, we will move to the next topic. This topic is again important. It says the implications of the expansion of BRICS. Okay, implications of the expansion of BRICS. Now, as we all know, this is next topic. Topic number 2. Implications of the expansion, okay, of BRICS. Now this topic is related to international relations. This is related to international relations. It is important under GS paper 2 of the mains exam. So we know BRICS is an acronym. It stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So it is a, like, you know, regional group of 5 countries. Okay, so there are 5 countries in it. So recently BRICS 15th summit was held. Okay, 15th summit of BRICS was held where? In Johannesburg in South Africa. Okay, in South Africa there was a 15th summit of BRICS, and in that 15th summit they have invited right 6 countries to join BRICS. Okay, they have invited 6 countries to join BRICS. But before that, like, you know, this grouping has opened for additional membership, and it has received, let's say, like, interest from 40 countries, and out of those 40 countries 22 countries had made formal applications, and out of them, like, you know, recently in the 15th summit that has happened, so there they have invited 6 new countries to join. However, I mean, like, these countries have to ratify, let's say, like, you know, there they have to sign. So there are some procedures that are pending. However, like, you know, there was a formal invitation by BRICS to those countries. What are those countries? These countries can be divided into 3 different kind of geographical grouping. Okay, some of these countries are from Africa, some of these countries are from West Asia, and another country is from Latin America. Latin America means South America. Okay, Latin America means South America. That's the thing. From West Asia, it has invited Saudi Arabia, then United Arab Emirates and Iran. Okay, so it has invited these 3 countries to join. And if I talk about from Latin America, it has invited Argentina. If I talk about from Africa, it has invited 2 countries. one is Egypt and Ethiopia. So these countries have been invited by the BRICS, by the BRICS to join formally. Okay, means like once they complete the procedure, so they will become members. Okay, from Africa they have invited Egypt and Ethiopia. From West Asia, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Iran. And from Latin America, Argentina. Okay, so they have invited these things. Now, if I talk about what is the nature of the BRICS grouping, BRICS is a political and economic forum. It's a political and economic forum. It's not a security forum as such. However, like what is the importance of BRICS? Like if we see that like internationally many such groupings are existing, what is the importance of BRICS? The importance of BRICS is that BRICS showcases takes the side. It talks about the global south. Okay, it talks about global south. So what do we mean by global south? Global south basically is a economic concept. This is an economic concept. Like long back, all of us might have heard about these terminologies. So I'll make you understand about these terminologies also. Like for example, earlier we used to hear about first world countries, second world countries, third world countries. Okay, like we used to hear about these things earlier. It was like very long back after World War I and before World War II. So they used to refer to different countries as first world countries, second world countries, and third world countries. First world country represented the developed countries. Developed countries means, for example, if I talk about the United States of America, if I talk about European Union, so I mean these countries basically represent first world countries, the developed countries. Second world countries were those countries that were developing countries like China, India, right, Russia. So they were considered to be second world countries. Okay, they are developing countries. Then there was a third category, which is third world country. Third world countries were underdeveloped countries. Okay, underdeveloped countries means these were those countries that were underdeveloped. Like most of the African countries fall into this particular category. However, this terminology, slowly and gradually it has receded because people have given new connotation, new way of representing these countries, because they used to think that it is categorizing these countries and it is, let's say, not giving due importance to those countries that are making progress. Okay, so then came another debate where new terminologies emerged. Okay, new terminologies emerged. So what are those new terminologies? One of the thing was known as global north. Okay, global north. Then we have second, global south. So what do we mean by global north and global south? Global north now represents those countries that are more prosperous. Okay, that are more prosperous. Prosperous means their per capita income is very high, they are developed. Okay, they are developed, their human development index is high. Okay, their human development index, etc., is high. Means like global north represents those countries that are more developed. For example, it includes the United States of America, like Canada, France, European Union, many countries like that. So they are part of global north. They are basically developed countries. So all those countries that are more prosperous, that are developed, where human development index is very high, so they are part of global north. Okay, however, it is not a strict geographical concept. For example, let's say if I draw the globe, if we call it to be equator, okay, let's say this is 0 degree. So this is northern hemisphere, this is southern hemisphere. Generally, most of the countries that are part of the southern hemisphere, they are less prosperous as compared to global north. For example, South America, South Asia, right, and Africa, right, some parts of Africa. So southern hemisphere countries are lesser developed. So this this international concept arose that said global north means those countries that are more prosperous. Similarly, global south represents, let's say, South America, right? South America, Asia, right? South America, Asia, etc. Asia, Africa, okay? So it is a more homogeneous term. It talks about those countries that are on the path of development, that are prospering, that are, let's say, developing, that has moved towards development. So this BRICS, I mean, like this grouping, this represents the global south, because all the member countries, for example, Brazil, it is not a developed country, it is developing. Russia is a developing country. Russia is the largest developing country. India is the most populous developing country now. China was the most populous developing country. Then South Africa is also a developing country. So these all are developing countries. So like they represent the global south. And now to increase the participation of the let's say global south, they have invited these 6 members. And like, you know, some of the members are from Africa, from West Asia, from Latin America. So they are giving more representation to more, let's say, global south nations. Okay. So this is the thing. Now in this article, the author has mentioned, right? What author has mentioned? Author has said that this global south, right, they are emerging, and now those institutions that were earlier dominated by the global north, so these institutions have, let's say, gone into a phase of standstill. They have become outdated in the sense because they did not adopt, right? They did not reform themselves. Now there is a let's say like notion among these countries that, like, you know, those institutions that are institutions that were started after World War II, okay, after World War II, those institutions that were started after World War II, let's say the United Nations, okay, United Nations Organization, and if I talk about the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund. So these institutions, I mean, like, you know, they have not reformed themselves with the time. Now they do not represent, let's say, like, you know, all countries equally. So they say that in the United Nations, the UNSC, right, United Nations Security Council, it has 5 permanent members, and these five permanent members only do not represent the entire world. So they say there should be representation from other countries also. India has been seeking membership of the United Nations Security Council. This International Monetary Fund, okay, so this International Monetary Fund has a system that that country which has more vote bank, the country that has more resources, it has more voting power, okay, into the IMF. So they say like it also needs like, you know, reforms. And if I talk about BRICS, BRICS, I mean, like, you know, BRICS has also started some of its own development initiative. One of the thing is like it has started New Development Bank, right? It has started New Development Bank, and New Development Bank is to support the developmental initiative, okay, is to support developmental initiative in different countries, in countries of BRICS. Then it has also started contingency reserve arrangement, okay, which is known as CRA, contingency reserve arrangement. So what is this? This contingency reserve arrangement will support those countries that face balance of payment crisis, okay, that face balance of payment crisis, okay, that faces balance of payment crisis. Earlier this activity was seen by the International Monetary Fund. Recently the International Monetary Fund has supported Sri Lanka, okay, because Sri Lanka is undergoing some kind of, right, it's going like, you know, through economic hardships. It has gone through balance of payment crisis. Now this is an alternative forum that they are building, okay. So this is the thing. Now in this article the author has mentioned about the implications of expansion of BRICS. So since we are expanding BRICS, what is going to happen? The global south will get more places to voice its concerns, more places to be heard. And the thing is, like, you know, global south have come together. It is being strong, okay. So there is going to be south-south solidarity. Means, for example, the South America and South Asia, so they're coming together. Africa is also coming together. So it's a trend towards a multilateral world. It's a trend towards a more representative world. So this is the thing, this is the idea, okay, that has been reflected by the author in this article. So the author says, apart from reflecting the global multipolar order, apart from reflecting the global multipolar order, there is an alignment of global interest as well as considerable economic clout. Okay, so this is the thing. So global interests are being aligned, and also, like, economic thing is also being taken care of by the these countries together. Now with this, we will move to this article quickly. It says decoding the Nyaya Sanhita bill. Okay, so we all know that the government of India has come up with 3 bills, which is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, and Bharatiya Sakshya. So Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, it's going to replace the Indian Penal Code. The Criminal Procedure Code will be replaced by the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. Then Indian Evidence Act will be replaced by Bharatiya Sakshya. So in this article, the author has talked about, like, decoding the Nyaya Sanhita bill. In this article, this author has taken a positive view related to the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So in the positive view, the author has talked about the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. It's going to decolonize the Indian, let's say, like, criminal justice system. It's going to decolonize the criminal justice system in India. This is one thing that the author has said. And also the author has talked about that, like, they have also introduced, okay, they have introduced many new forms of crimes, okay, they have introduced. And they say that the Western form of Indian Penal Code that we are still practicing, so this actually was made by the Britishers to advance their own type of governance, because they wanted to rule over the people. But now here the people are governing themselves. Now we need a different set of laws altogether. So with that viewpoint, the author has talked about this thing. So author has talked about that, like, here, like in the, this Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, they have kept the, let's say, bodily autonomy, means like individual thing above than the offenses against the state. So if I talk about section 124A, that used to be sedition, okay, so like that is offense against the state. So those things have been placed late. So the author has given many viewpoints to, let's say, like, uphold that, like, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is the need of the hour, because we want to decolonize our Indian legal system, okay, legal system in India. And they have given many examples also. For example, one of the example is, like, Joseph Sain case versus Union of India. So there the Supreme Court has struck down offense of adultery. Okay, adultery means, like, when a woman engages in sexual activity outside her married life, okay, with another man. So it has been decriminalized by the Supreme Court of India. So this is the thing. Yeah. Yeah, outside marriage. No. No, it's not related to pornography in that sense. Means, for example, there is a married couple, okay, there's a married couple. I'm just drawing this thing, okay, let's say this is the husband, this is the wife, okay, he is male, she is female. So they are into a wedlock now, and if this female engages in sexual activity with another male means this is another male altogether, okay. So earlier this was considered to be a crime, and crime, in that crime, this male was, I mean, like, in that case, in section, right? So there was a section 497. This male was punished, right? Means it used to consider that this woman does not have any, let's say, like, she is not culpable, means like she does not, she has not done any crime. The crime was the onus on the male, the other male who engages in sexual activity. So Supreme Court has observed that this is against, let's say, like, this is not what we say, this is not giving equal treatment to male and female. So that's why this entire section, which is section 497, it has been held as null and void by the Supreme Court of India. Means they have decriminalized it. So earlier it was a criminal offense, not for the women but for the male, because this woman will be taken care of by her husband. He has the right to give divorce to the women by citing that she engaged into sexual activity outside the wedlock. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is known as this thing, adultery. Okay, this is known as adultery. Okay, so that has been decriminalized. Now, with this, we will move to the next topic. It says the case of elections in Jammu and Kashmir. So this article is also good. This article has talked about, like, elections, the prospect of holding election in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Let us understand about this thing. So Tanmay has written something, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to, let's say, like, respond to you also. So Argentina, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Ethiopia. So he has talked about those countries that have been formally invited by the BRICS, okay, to join it. Then Global North, developed countries, and Oceania, okay. Global South, developing countries below the area of equator. Yeah, right. So it is not a strictly geographical concept. However, like, Global South represents the developing and underdeveloped countries as of now. So with this, we will talk about this topic. It says the case for elections in Jammu and Kashmir, okay. So basically, why this article has been written? Because the central government had abrogated Article 370 in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And before that, okay, the Jammu and Kashmir used to be a state, okay, it was a state. It had legislative assembly, okay, they had legislative assembly. They used to hold elections the way elections are held in other states, okay. So there used to be various kinds of election. For example, like, election for the panchayat, okay, election for the panchayat, election for the municipality, election for the state legislative assembly, like, Lok Sabha general elections, okay, Lok Sabha elections. All of these elections used to be held in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Since Article 370 was abrogated in 2019, since then none of these elections has been held in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, because after abrogating these articles, the Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, okay, these two were, okay, made union territories, okay, these two were made union territories. So this Jammu and Kashmir was made a union territory with a legislative assembly, okay, it does have a legislative assembly, and this thing does not have a no legislative assembly, okay, it does not have a legislative assembly. But now the state, now petitioners are demanding that statehood should be restored. However, the statehood was not restored yet. But the thing is, like, as of now, the government has said that we are going to conduct elections in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and they are going to conduct election for the panchayats. They are going to conduct election for the municipality. They are going to conduct the Lok Sabha elections. However, related to state legislative assembly elections, they have not said anything. Means, like, no action has been taken by the central government for holding a state legislative election in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, like in the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This is one thing. Why they have not conducted it? Because recently the Election Commission of India has said that they are going to conduct delimitation exercise. Okay, they are going to conduct delimitation exercise. Delimitation means they are going to draw the boundary of different constituencies for state legislative assembly elections and also for the Lok Sabha elections. So they have said that, like, 4 states plus Jammu and Kashmir, they are going to do delimitation exercise for 4 states and Jammu and Kashmir. So later on, what they have said like, we are not going to do delimitation in these 4 states, right? But related to Jammu and Kashmir, they have not said anything whether they are going to do it or not. So this delimitation exercise is pending in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, there in Union Territory. Delimitation means drawing the boundary for state legislative assembly elections and for Lok Sabha elections, drawing the boundary of constituent assemblies, means like for the, constituencies, okay, to draw the constituency. Why it is done? So that, like, people get equal representation, right? Recently this delimitation exercise was conducted in the state of Assam. So there they have, let's say, like, changed some of the boundary, they have included new constituencies also. However, this thing is pending over there. In this article, they have talked about 4 bills that the union government has come up with. Okay, what are those 4 bills? So they have talked about that the first bill that the government of India has come up with, it is known as Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Amendment Bill. So it reserves 2 seats for the Kashmiri migrants, and one of those seats will be for women. And apart from this, it said, like, there will be, let's say, another seat also which will be held by Pakistani held territories, means those people who were displaced by Pakistani held territories. So all three seats are to be filled by nominees of the lieutenant governor. So this is one of the bill that the central government has come up with. Then it has come up with the second bill. Name of this bill is known as the Constitution Jammu and Kashmir Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2023. And this bill includes Pahari community. Okay, like they gave reservation to the Pahari community. Earlier, like there used to be reservation of let's say Gujjars and Bakarwals. However, Gujjars and Bakarwal are themselves dominating communities. But the second bill gives reservation to the Pahari community. Then the third bill is known as the Constitution Jammu and Kashmir Scheduled Caste Order Amendment Bill, and it includes Valmiki community. Valmiki community are considered to be, let's say, like like they are scheduled caste communities. Okay, so like they have been included in this, and they will be given reservation in this thing. Okay, so the fourth bill, it is known as the Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill 2015, adds 15 more other backward classes, including the West Pakistani refugee Gorkhas. Okay, so includes these things. So like these bills have been brought by the central government. Why? Because they want to give reservation, right, to different communities over there, the Paharis, Bakarwals, women's, Pakistani displaced people. So they want to give it because like they want to diversify that area representation. They want that representation should be diversified. So this is the thing. In this article, they have talked about the case for elections in Jammu and Kashmir. So will a election of a state legislative assembly happen there? So it may not happen very soon. Why? Because delimitation exercise is pending, and also there is no notification from the Election Commission of India in this regard. Okay, so that's why this is pending. Okay, in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, I mean like erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. So this question, like we have included this question, however this question is from some other topic. In your free time you can go through this question and you can answer this question. Okay, we have given the explanation also. However that topic, I mean like I had taken out. So this is another topic. This topic says, in second action by ISTRAC, Aditya L1 enters new orbit. So recently we have discussed about Aditya L1 in detail. So let's talk about Aditya L1 again. Okay, so this topic is related to Aditya L1. So Aditya L1 is the first solar mission of India, first solar mission of Indian Space Research Organization. So what we want to do, we want to send the Aditya L1 spacecraft, right? We want to send it to the, let's say like L1 orbit, which is Lagrange point 1, it is known as. So Lagrange point 1 is a kind of area. Okay, it is an area where there is least, okay, there is least gravitational influence. Okay, least gravitational influence by Earth and Sun. Okay, so this is the thing. So it is an area of, let's say, stability. So this Lagrange point 1 that we are sending, so like we have already launched this rocket, and it is now moving in the Earth, let's say like earthbound orbits. So recently we have done a maneuver. Maneuver means we have changed some trajectory of the Aditya L1, and after doing that maneuver we have attained, right, 282 kilometer into 40,000 to 25 kilometer orbit. So these are known as, let's say, elliptical orbit. We have attained this thing. So we are making the orbit more elliptical, so that like so that what happens, like it is able to reach like far away. And then we will be doing some kind of more maneuvers. In all, we are going to do 5 maneuvers. One maneuver was earlier done. This is the second maneuver that they have done. And after doing it, we want to insert this particular thing into trans-Lagrangian, okay, insertion, like trans-Lagrangian orbit. Okay, we want to insert into that thing. After then, it is going to reach there. And that point, as we already discussed, is 15 lakh kilometer away from Earth. That is 1% of the distance between Earth and Sun. Okay, that's the thing. So we are going to do it, and it has been launched using Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Okay, it has been launched using PSLV C57. And so there are more other details also given. However, we have already discussed about those details. So I'll be skipping this particular thing. for the day. I mean, like, later on also we are going to cover this. So now we have another topic. It says Myanmar won't be allowed to lead ASEAN. Okay, Myanmar won't be allowed to lead ASEAN in 2026 in blow to generals. So what has happened in Myanmar? This issue is important. Okay, so Myanmari military has conducted a coup in 2021. After then, they have, let's say, like, ousted the like civilian government from there, and then they have established a military rule in Myanmar. So this ASEAN is a group, right? It stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations. ASEAN has 10 member countries. Okay, it has 10 member countries. Now one of the member of this ASEAN is Myanmar. The next, I mean, like, the ASEAN meeting that's going to happen, summit that's going to happen, it's going to happen in ASEAN summit is going to happen in 2026. Okay, it is going to happen in 2026. However, that thing should be led by Myanmar. I mean, like, as per the procedure, it should be led by Myanmar. But the thing is, since Myanmar has conducted a military coup, so the other leaders of ASEAN has decided that they will not let Myanmar to preside over that particular meeting. So they have decided that some other member is going to preside over that thing. So as of now, I think Indonesia has taken that responsibility, that now, so Indonesia has taken that responsibility that we will preside over that particular meeting. Okay, so this is a political news. However, we need to understand about ASEAN. What is ASEAN? It is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So this is an association of 10 countries, right, in Southeast Asia. What you need to do, you need to remember, you need to go through and see who are the members of ASEAN. Okay, and you need to learn about their membership, right? The objective of ASEAN is to let's say cooperate on mutually shared let's say, like, economic projects for common prosperity, for political thing. So it's a kind of bloc. I mean, like, it's not a military bloc, it is an economic cooperation between 10 countries. Okay, they want to, let's say, make trade between them easy. They want to, let's say, reduce the tariff barriers. A lot of things are there. So it's a bloc between these countries. Then we have another topic. This topic is important. It says UN warns Israel that expelling Eritreans en masse is unlawful. Okay, so this is a news. Basically, like, Israel is a country, we know, right? They are, like, in the Middle East. It's a country. So in Israel, there are many people who have come from Eritrea, and they are asylum seekers. Okay, so some of the petitioners and the respondents are the government, petitioners are from the Jammu and Kashmir. So after then, now Supreme Court of India has reserved its verdict, means, like, it has not given a verdict. It is now, let's say, assessing both the things. Later on, they may give the verdict. So as of now, it is with the Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India will give a verdict. So this is a topic related to economy. It says finance minister flags threats to financial system from crypto tax havens. Okay, so crypto means cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies are those currencies that are built on blockchain technology. Okay, these are based on distributed ledgers, so they do not need any central authority to do the transaction. So the thing is, the finance minister has said that, like, there are threats from cryptocurrencies and there are threats from tax havens. Tax havens are those countries where, let's say, like, people can set up their headquarters of companies where they need to pay minimal amount of tax, and there is a, let's say, agreement between the government of India and various other countries related to double taxation avoidance agreement. This is known as double taxation avoidance agreement. So, like, government of India has signed this double taxation avoidance agreement with many countries. Okay, it has signed with many countries, but at the same time, those companies that are multinational companies, they do have their offices in India. Okay, they do have their offices in India. They do have their offices in these countries with which government of India has double taxation avoidance agreement. For example, if I talk about Mauritius, okay, if I talk about Mauritius, if I talk about Singapore and all. So here the tax rates may be, let's say, 28%. for the corporates. Here, let's say tax rate is 1% for the corporates. So what these corporates will do, they have their office India, they have their office there. They will say that we have paid taxes here in Mauritius, and because there exists a double taxation avoidance agreement, so they will not be paying taxes in India because they are legally protected. So recently the Finance Minister of India has said that there is a threat to the financial system because of these tax havens. Tax havens means these countries are known as tax havens. Okay, so this is the thing. Have you understood this thing? Then we have cryptocurrencies. We can go in detail related to cryptocurrencies. However, in this article, they have not mentioned much. Okay, so recently the global fintech is happening in Mumbai. So there the Finance Minister of India has said about it. Okay, so this is a concept from economy. Okay, so that's the thing. So with this, like, we will move to the next topic. It says Coup in Gabon. It's also an African country. Coup means when military authorities overtake, okay, military authorities overtake the what? The let's say, like, civilian governments. Recently it has happened in one more country in Africa. Now it is happening in Gabon, and before that in 3 more countries it has happened. So in Africa there is a trend now that the military authorities are overthrowing the civilian governments. So this article has been related to this, like in Gabon. So it is happening. So in this article they have just mentioned about it. You can go through this article to understand this. Now this is another article, the last article for the day. Time to decide. Infrastructure developments in the hills cannot be same as in the plains. Okay, so there was, let's say, recently the Supreme Court of India has talked about that, like, we should do an assessment of the carrying capacity. Okay, there should be an assessment of carrying capacity of the natural resources of biological things in different states, especially in northeastern and hilly states. Okay, so that was said by the Supreme Court of India. So we need to understand what do we mean by carrying capacity. Carrying capacity is an economic and biological concept. Means it talks about, let's say, if there are natural resources, if people are there in the natural resources, so how much resources they will be utilizing. So does the natural resources have enough capacity to support that? Okay, so that is known as carrying capacity. So in this article they have mentioned many things related to it. We do have a question related to this. It says, okay, this question says, which of the following statement describes about ecological footprint? Okay, recently mentioned. Okay, ecological footprint. So ecological footprint, it measures the demands made by an individual entity or a group on a global natural resources. Okay, an individual entity, how much resources does it require? That is ecological footprint. Okay, it is known as ecology, means how much toll does that person has on ecology. Okay, that is ecological footprint. So in this article, I mean, like, they have mentioned about this thing. We can read it in our free time. So correct answer is C, and we have given the explanation to this. Okay, so that's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much, online people also, and thank you so much for joining. So that's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much.